Returning to our top story now, the Victorian Premier has announced that the 2026 Commonwealth Games is being cancelled. The state government has decided not to go ahead with the event because of funding issues. Here's David Southwick, who's the Shadow Commonwealth Games Minister. Mr Southwick, thank you so much for your time. What's your reaction to this decision?
Well, Daniel Andrews promised a world-class Commonwealth Games, and instead we've got a world-class stuff-up. And again, Victoria and Victorians are being humiliated on a world-class stage. We've just been picking ourselves up off the mat after our record lockdowns. We want to restart Victoria. This was a great opportunity to provide valuable, important infrastructure into the regions, and there's just full of uncertainty. The idea today that we've seen a budget blowout from a $2.6 to $7 billion, and even the Premier himself said he's unsure even if it was going to be even more than that. How could Daniel Andrews get this so wrong? We've had 17 months to be able to plan for this Commonwealth Games, and everybody's been left in the dark. I've been talking to the regions today, and they're really concerned that the promises that Daniel Andrews is making now, that he will keep those. And Ros, if you were going to start by providing valuable infrastructure into the regions, you wouldn't do it like we're doing it now, where it's like trying to retrofit a house once you've already 3/4 of the way through. It's a huge mess, it's a huge stuff up, and Daniel Andrews has got egg on his face.
It is hard to argue with the Premier's reasoning, though, isn't it, that potential revenue doesn't justify the huge price tag? Hasn't he made a brave decision in pulling the pin?
Well, we should have known a lot of this from the start. If you don't plan properly, then you fail, and that's what's happened. This government hasn't planned, hasn't done the work. We only hear about this stuff now. We've got $30 billion of infrastructure blowouts in Victoria on major projects. Jacinta Allan, the Deputy Premier, who's responsible for Commonwealth Games delivery, has been the minister responsible for all of these blowouts that Victoria is currently facing, that's led to the huge debt that Victoria is experiencing right now. And this is another symptom of bad management by the Andrews government. And unfortunately, you've got people in the regions that are really suffering. And if you ask many of the regions, they'd say we need our roads fixed. We need to ensure that we have our healthcare up and running. So these are the kinds of things that should have been invested in right from the start. I mean, Daniel Andrews is saying he's going to take a portion of the money that was promised and put that into the regions. How is that going to happen? And we need to ensure the regions don't miss out. And also, there are a whole lot of unanswered questions in terms of these contracts. Daniel Andrews has effectively ripped up a contract when it comes to Commonwealth Games. Is there going to be financial compensation with that? And there's about 1,200, from what I understand, purchasing contracts that have already been embarked on. What happens to those contracts? And then also the jobs, 7,000 jobs. What is going to happen to those people that have been promised jobs? And I suppose finally and importantly, the athletes, people that have been really thinking about this in their hometown, training. A lot of these kids, families have all been let down today.
But the Games budget is going to be redirected to housing as well, with social and affordable homes planned for across regional Victoria. Don't you think people would prefer to have a roof over their heads than watch athletes compete?
Oh, look, no question. And we've been saying all along that the Games needed to deliver